What's going on, everyone? This is Jay from Premier Gaming Entertainment, here to bring to you my takeaway and analysis video for this week's game versus Ohio State. Before I get started, if you can, please leave a like on the video, as it definitely helps out the channel. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. How do you feel about the game? Are you shocked by the results? Is it what you thought? Are you disappointed? Let me know how you feel about how the game went in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoy my content, definitely subscribe to the channel. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you know the end result of the game. Michigan, was the underdog. And, the game started out good. We started out fired up. Things looked promising in the first quarter. Who knows how things would have gone, if we had converted earlier on. But I knew that things were not going to turn out for the best when early on we're moving the football and had to settle for field goals. And then we had that turnover, the pick, the momentum's all on our side. We have a chance to maybe, even after settling for a field goal on the first possession, you turn around, you get the ball right back. And I'm thinking, man, if we punch this in, we're really cooking. And I think the fact that we had to settle for another field goal, that was just deflating. And it was like from that point on, it was just like, the game was just out of our hands. One of my keys to this game was the trench play. Who was going to dominate? Was it going to be our lines or their lines? And for the past 4 years, our lines have dominated this game, and that's why we won. Well, this game, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. Ohio State beat us at our own game, on our own home field. They were the more dominant team. They were the tougher team. They pushed us around, especially on the offensive end. Whether it be run blocking, pass blocking, it didn't matter. Pass blocking, I don't even think Julian Sain even got a fingernail near it. I don't even think anyone got within 5 yards of him for the whole game. No pressure, no sacks, no deflections, no hurries, nothing. He had all day to just sit back there and pick us apart. And it was like one of those things where we're not getting pressure by rushing just 4, and we're not making the plays on the back end enough to warrant staying in coverage. So it's like, if you send the pressure, now it's 1-on-1, and it didn't work out. Now, granted, we didn't get cooked as much as could have been possible, but for the first time in 4 years, we got beat over the top on a touchdown. I don't know what the safeties were doing. It looked like they just fell asleep. But that was the first time that we got burned over the top like that in a long time. But regardless of that, we were just getting picked apart. It was just slow, death by 1,000 cuts. It was just slowly, methodically moving the ball down the field. We couldn't really stop them. I think they only punted maybe once or twice. We just could not stop them. They pushed us around. They beat us in the rushing yards, and hence won the game. There's always been whoever wins the rushing yards as of late has won this game. And that's mainly because when it's all said and done, the team that's leading the game is going to try and sit on the football as much as possible and run the ball as much as possible and try to bleed out the game. And that's what happened to us, especially the fourth quarter. Is like I think we saw the ball like maybe once or twice, and they just held the ball, had these slow, long drives, and just took the air out of the ball and just killed us. We just got pushed around. And it's one of these things where it's like, especially once Jordan Marshall went down, that was it. Because starting off the game, we were hot. He was running the football great. And then once he went out of the game, that was it. It's weird. People were talking about, would this be Bryce's legacy game? Was he going to go off? Was he going to have the game of his life? And I feel as though there was no way for him to do so because he was handcuffed from doing it. I'm looking up and he's like 3 for 5 or something like that for like 16 yards, and it's like in the second quarter. Like they didn't want to, it's almost like they didn't trust him to throw the football. And it reminded me of how the Oklahoma game went, where their game plan was run the football, run the football, run the football, occasionally pass when we have to, and rely on the defense. That was the game plan. And that worked for the most part last year, but that wasn't going to work this year. And it didn't work this year. I mean, relatively speaking, except for, that one play over the top, the defense didn't play bad or poorly or anything like that. It was just, first of all, they were on the field way too long. I think it was almost like a 2-to-1 ratio of time of possession. So they were on the field way too long. They got tired. They couldn't stop them. And when we had the football, we were doing nothing with it. Hats off to Ohio State's defense for doing their thing, but it's like when we did have our opportunities, all we could do was kick field goals. It's crazy. Andrew Marsh didn't even get one catch. Tight ends, pretty much non-existent. It's like everything that I saw as a positive in the weeks coming up to this game, all of that went out the window. I didn't see no RPO stuff, limited in the passing game, just run the football as much as possible. It's almost like they conceded that they weren't going to win this game. And they were just trying to, I don't know what they were trying to do, to be honest with you. So, it's disappointing. I feel as though if that was their game plan, that was a poor game plan. They didn't, to me, give us the best opportunity to win. And I understand the injuries. I understand the guys being out. Like, what's up with Ernest Hausman? Like, where is he? I mean, how come he didn't play? How come Samaj didn't play? Though I know a lot of people would be happy about that. But Max not being out there hurt. Jordan going down hurt. But those are no excuses. It should be next man up. And, we laid an egg at home. There's no getting around it. We got pushed around. Their offensive line pushed us around. We could get no pass rush. And, that was pretty much the game right there. They just sat back, passed when they needed to, got converted when they needed to, and just basically just pushed us around until the game was over. I know they've been doing that to teams all year, but I thought that we would put up more of a fight than we did. And we did for the first couple quarters. That touchdown to Jeremiah Smith is funny. In the 2 games that he's played against us, He scored 2 touchdowns, and both of them were controversial. Last year to push off. This year, he fumbled the ball out of the end zone. By rule, that should be a touchback. Somehow they reviewed it and still called it a touchdown. So I don't know what to say about that. But regardless, even if they did get that call, overturned, we were still gonna lose. Our special teams still, I don't know what to say. Zavada, he bounced back. He made his field goals, all 3 of them. But our punting game, I mean, I remember it was 4th down. We were like at just, we were not quite to midfield. We punted, and it was only like a 10-yard punt. And I'm like, man, if it's only going to be a 10-yard punt, you might as well have just gone for it on 4th down, man. That was a huge momentum swing because I think at that point we were down 17-9, and I think like a couple plays later is when they took their shot and got that long touchdown to Cornell Tate. And once that happened, that was the game. The game was over. We couldn't sustain any drives after that. Seemed like we were just limited in what we could do. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Yes, we have another bowl game. Who knows who we're going to play? Probably the Citrus Bowl. You know how it goes. So they're going to have an opportunity to practice and all that good stuff. But it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the off season. First, we have National Signing Day next week. It'll be interesting to see, whether we hold on to all of our recruits. Hopefully we do. If we flip anybody, that would be great. But it's obvious obvious where our weaknesses are, and hopefully we can address those. Wide receiver, that's definitely got to change. You only really had one threat, which is a true freshman that came on a third of the way into the season. McCulley was all right, but he wasn't the impact player that we thought he was going to be. So, we need help in the wide receiver room. I like the way that our line, offensive line anyways, progressed during the season. They steadily improved. And, that's definitely a positive there. Defensive line, that's definitely concerning. I mean, obviously you can't replace guys like Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. I get it. But it was like night and day, and you could just tell. That has to improve the defensive line. Secondary was okay. And I think overall the future is looking good if they are able to keep everyone in the secondary. We're young, which is another big positive. We're young, we're developing. Bryce just has to get better, man. I understand he's young. He just turned 18. He's a freshman. I get all that, but there has to be some sort of improvement there because he only passed for like 60-something yards, and it's not like everyone was clamped up every single play. There was plays to be made. There was throws to be made. There was guys that were open, and he just didn't see them. He was getting rid of the football as soon as possible, checking it down. Not trusting the line. I don't know. But there was plays to be made that he just didn't make. So we need for him to improve. The running back room looks very very good. Obviously, going into next season, with Hyder coming in, Marshall returning, who knows what happens with Justice Haynes? But you would imagine that he's probably gonna try his luck in the league, so he's probably gone. But the running back room should be good. Um, Tight ends, that's the question mark. That was pretty much. It's like you had Marlon Klein first game, you had Marshall another game, and then it was like every other game after that or before that. Where were the tight ends at, man? It was like they only seemed to get targeted when it was like a check down. Other than that, not part of the offensive game plan. So that's got to change, and it's gonna boil down to what's gonna happen as far as this coaching staff goes, because there's definitely some guys like our special teams coach that definitely need to just hit the road. And not only do you want to see the coaches, the players improve, but you want to see the coaching staff improve. I want to see growth in Sharon as the head football coach. He's had 2 years now, 2 full years. This is going to be, I'm going to watch his first off season because it was kind of rushed. But this will be his second off season. What moves will he make in order to improve this team? Because it has improved record-wise. However, is that improvement record-wise from improving as a program? Or is that improving record-wise because of the schedule? So either or, regardless of whatever it is, we need to see improvement from this year to next year. We need to see steps being made in the right direction in order to look to be optimistic about this team. I understand that those last 2 years under Harbaugh were very, very, they were great as far as the success on the field, but recruiting-wise, portal-wise, we dropped the ball. And, a lot of that is attributed to the fact that, nobody knew what Harbaugh was going to do. So I can understand recruits not necessarily wanting to get behind that with all the uncertainty, but it tanked our recruiting classes. And now you're seeing the results of that tanking with guys that should be, making an impact now being far and few between. So, going into this year coming up is going to be make it or break it for Sharon Moore, because this is going to be his guys in their third year. So we're going to see what happens. Prayerfully, there's some improvement and we can get back on track as far as whether it be, playing for a chance at a championship or just being Ohio State. The streak is over. It wasn't going to last forever. Obviously, I would have loved for it to continue. But, at the end of the day, Ryan Day, I think he learned his lesson from last year. He decided we're not going to try and out Michigan. We're just going to play our game, consistently play our game all season. And if we don't make too many mistakes, we should just win just on talent alone. And that's what happened. So Now it's just a matter of we're not making the playoffs. What do we do to get ourselves better? What do we do to improve moving forward, moving into next season? That's going to be the key. You know, I thought that we had a chance to win this game, but you know, when you're losing the line of scrimmage the way that we did, and just getting pushed around and punked around and all that good stuff, we had no shot. So it is what it is. Anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Leave me, leave a like on the video if you made it this far into it. Leave me a comment in the comments section below. Leave me a go blue if you can. And as I mentioned before, if you enjoy my content, definitely subscribe to the channel. Anyways, thank you for watching. And as always, go blue.